the ancient teacher says, well, for you to keep the man on his toes, look like the flower, look beautiful. And he will always have something to live for, something to fight for. And so the woman is beautiful no matter who it is. The woman is always this beautiful person. But usually, if you don't understand men needs variety, isn't it? They always get bored with one thing. They're ready to go to the next thing because their minds are that. God made it that way so that men can always pursue women. Why? Because if you don't have the men pursuing women, then there will be no babies. And then there will be no world. And the world will stop. So inner nature of the woman, of the man, is to pursue the woman. But what keeps him where he is if she keeps looking beautiful all the time. She always has to look beautiful for the man. So what do you notice happens in a relationship sometimes? Is that before you get married or so, the dating is very wonderful. Oh, everything, he loves you. Yeah, he'll do anything. You ask him to go shopping, he'll go shopping with you, even though you don't like shopping. You're kind of it. Okay. And ask him, to do anything for you. Oh, he'll do it. He'll do it. But after the marriage is the problem. Right? Well, that's what happened. Now, here's what happened. You never think that it's your fault. You think it's the guy's fault. But let me tell you something. It is your fault. Because what happened is that when you were dating, you were dressing up nice. You were putting on all this nice makeup and you were doing all of these nice things. And the man was thrilled with that. And as soon as they get married, you relax. Oh, no more makeup anymore. No more jewelry anymore. No more dressing up. You dress down. And so that now, the man says, wait a minute, that's not what I meant. Right? So he starts to look everywhere else, somewhere else. Because somebody else is dressing up like how you were dressing up before. So always you have to look beautiful. That's why we have to have all these makeup and all these makeup companies and all these cream companies and so on. Because to keep the man interested, to keep the man going. You should always be dressed nice to look for the husband. And so this way, the marriage never gets boring. But it's because men are fickle. Women are stronger. Women are more dedicated. Women have stronger minds because they're the mother of the universe. They are the stronger person. So they have to become the foundation. Okay? Now, guys, they run quick. As soon as problem starts, they run, Women, they stay and they face it. So that's why we need to encourage women to become more understanding of that. But in the Shivling Puja, the purpose the ancient sages made that was because of that same problem. Because men, their mind get distracted. So the Shivling Puja keeps the man connected. That's why we do the Shivling Puja. It's an action-reaction process. Right? So that when you do this prayer now, when you do the Shivling Puja, the man does not get distracted. He does not stop looking at you as this great woman. Right? Because now the love after marriage doesn't stay with the body. It stays with the mind afterwards. Because now that brings love into the mind. Right? So now he's not going to be looking at the outer body, the dressing up and everything. You know what he starts looking at? He wants to know how much you're spending. Right, he wants to see, he never noticed you shopping before. But after marriage, all of a sudden he noticed you're shopping. Imagine that, right? And it's amazing, he starts to worry about his bills, he starts to worry about what's happening. Now he's all mental now. Has nothing to do with the body anymore. Before the dating, it was like that. So it becomes mental. So in terms he worried about his spending, worried about his bills and things like that. And so he's not watching that how beautiful you are still. He's watching how much he's spending now. So it's not always in the mind thing. Right? So that's why most men in the first part of marriage, they start to go up in life. And then as they become ungrateful, in a sense, to the beauty of the woman and to the woman being the foundation, they want to cook for him, they want to take care of him. As that get into the later on, then you will see he starts to go down or also. Right? Because he doesn't have her support anymore. He's not supporting her anymore. Because the separation happened. So that's why the woman, man, you need to keep praying for the man. Because the woman's, a wife that prays will make a powerful husband. So behind every great man is a great woman. Is okay? Usually when a woman comes to me and she says, well, we're separated and we're not doing well, things like that, I tell her to do this prayer, the Shivaratri Puja, or I tell her to pray to a certain mantra, which will bring the guys closer. But what is the mantra doing really? What the mantra is doing is making her calm down her energy. Because sometimes her energy is too much for the man. And when the energy is too much for the man, can't handle that. Women are very powerful in their energy. So the idea is that a woman has to realize her power over the man. And that's why you see when a woman in this country starts to say, well, I want to be free, I want to be liberated, I don't want to be a cook and things like that, you'll find that the men starts to fall apart and they start to suffer in their lives. Because when a woman cooks for a man, what she's doing is she's giving her energy to him. Whatever energy she's giving to him, that's what he's getting. And believe me, when he comes to eat a dinner, and whatever way he behaves is going to be the kind of energy that you put in the food. Yes? And observe that. If you are calm when you're making the food and he eats it, he's calm. And you say, oh, he's not giving me any money, he's not giving me any money. You're going to fight over money when he comes home. So the food have a lot to do with the way the man behaves and so on. So when you cook for him and so on, and it's work. When you do the prayers over the food and when the man is eating and so on the food, and you do certain prayers, it really works. If you think good thoughts, it comes out good. So don't think bad thoughts about when you're cooking and so on. So that's important. Now, how Shivaratri came about was because of the tree leaves. All of you pray with the tree leaves, right? Because there was this hunter, and it's a brief story about how Shivaratri came. And this hunter, he was not finding any kind of game to hunt. So on this night of Shivaratri, and what happens is that he climbed on the tree, the same tree that gives those tree leaves, and he's waiting for the deers to come so he can shoot the deer and take it home and for his family and stuff. And while he's waiting, he breaks the leaf off, the tree leaves, and he's dropping it on the floor. And under the floor, in the bottom of the tree, is a Shivlingam. And he didn't know that. So he kept dropping the leaves. They said one of these leaves will remove all the problems in your life when you give it to Shiva, or you give it to the Shiva. So he was dropping these leaves, and along came the deer. And when he came to the deer, when the deer came, he started to shoot the deer. The deer said, "Stop." So there's a talking deer. The deer actually spoke to him. So now he asked the deer asked him, "Can you spare me?" And he said, "Why should I spare you? I need you for my dinner." And the deer says, "Okay, I promise you," I'm trying to make the story short, it's a long story. "I promise you that I will go and see my wife and my family first, and then I will come back and you can kill me, and I'll become your dinner." So he consented, of course, to that, and he says he doesn't know the deer will come back, but he gives it a chance, you know. So along came another deer, and when that deer came, he started to shoot that deer. That deer also said, "Wait a minute, stop. Can you give me a chance? Can you give me a break?" Right? And he said, "Why should I do that?" He said, "Well, I want to go say goodbye to my husband," because it was a female deer, and my family first. So he consented, and the deer went. He says, "You promise you'll come back?" And he says, "You promise you'll come back." And then came the young deer, right? And the young deer came along, and he started to shoot that deer, and then that deer said, "No, wait a minute, don't spare me. Don't shoot me, please. Now, I will come back." He says, "Why?" "Because I have to go say goodbye to my father and my mother before I come back. And I promise I will come back." Right? So he's getting hungry, he's worried about his family, and he's dropping these leaves on the shieling from the tree. And he's worried about what's going to happen. Right? And he's thinking about all of these nights that his family is going to starve and so on. So finally, he saw the 3 deers came. All 3 of them came back. And they all said, "Well, you can shoot me and take me for your dinner." So he said he doesn't know which one to shoot, and plus the deers are talking, and he doesn't know if he should shoot the deer. Right? And all of a sudden, because he became more conscious of life and conscious because as he was doing this, the 3 deers became Lord Shiva, Mother Durga, and Lord Ganesh. So these were his tests. So they changed the form, and they took their real form. So they really weren't deers at all. They were the God. They were the Lord, and the Lord and Durga, which is the mother, the goddess, and Ganesh, which is Lord of Obstacles. They appeared, and they said, "You know, you can get anything you want." And he said he doesn't want to be a hunter anymore. So, but he doesn't care if your family starve. And all of a sudden, in front of him appeared lots of food, lots of dinners and so on that he can have, good dishes and so on. So for that night, he went and he ran and he bowed to Lord Shiva and so on. And for that night now became Shivaratri night. That anything you want on that night, your desire will be fulfilled. So that's how the Shivaratri came that night. So that's the story of Shivaratri, right? So now you understand what Shivaratri is about. It's all about love. And as we said, the shivling is a symbol of that.